Hello and welcome to a Christmas special of The Big Picture. I'm your host, Anna Varkevich. Before I get introducing, make sure you're following us on all the socials @_ The Big Picture. Before we get anywhere, I'm pleased to announce that this week's People Champion is also me, meaning I retain both my titles, but this week they will be held by someone new, I can guarantee it. Joining me this week is a regular cast of elves and reindeer. And first up, a lot of people stop me in the street and they say, who's your favourite Christmas Jack? Is it Jack Frost or Jack Skellington? And I always say, it's neither. It's Jack Graham. Jack, how you doing?
Very well. I'm glad that I'm only in your head as some kind of seasonal Christmas character every year, and that's about it. You know, that's great. Thanks for that. But apart from that, I'm doing all right, man. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. And now we have 3 more wise men on the panel. Next up's our very own Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, because we always laugh and call him names. It's Reese Cook. Welcome, Reese.
Hi. Okay, thank you. I just want to bring it back to your thing with Jack. I don't think anyone would ever stop you in the street. You don't seem like the friendly kind of guy. I definitely wouldn't stop you.
No, I normally have my headphones in, so I just blank them. But
you don't want to get stopped in the street if they saw your poster up on a lamppost saying "wanted," and then your face. Wait a minute.
That's what you're meant to do. If you see a wanted poster, you don't get to stop and is that you, that poster, by the way?
Excuse me, is that you up on that lamppost?
Wanted, please approach.
Yeah. All right. Our second last panelist is from a faraway land, much like Santa. Not Lapland, though. Shetland. It's Lewis Jameson.
Wow, that made me sound like a bit of a nonce, but yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it there. I felt a bit bad for you, Adam, there. You won People's Champion, but you just went, yeah, I won it and moved on. It's clear to say you don't give a crap about the people's opinions, what I'm telling from that.
No.
Ooh,
when you're the host, you're meant to be invisible. You're meant to just introduce stuff and you let the panel do the work. I wouldn't bring up, say, my pictures from the week before if I was host. I don't know, do you anyone who did that with host?
Who does that?
I've no memory of this.
Moving on. Last but not least, we have our very own criminal mastermind, because I know for a fact he has a scheme to steal the Big Picture title this week. The group's resident Hans Gruber. It's Stuart Fitzgerald. How are you, Stuart?
I feel very good. God blesses everyone. Some good intros, Adam. I really like that. But I'm sad to say that this is the first Christmas where I don't believe in Jack Graham. It finally happened. So
what's that, your faith?
That's it. I just don't. I've gotten older and wiser, and I just realised
older.
Yep, and that's it. This is just the year. I like how we've already started Christmas like my family does by immediately shouting and fighting. So a nice tradition.
No, we've not.
Is there a different way to start Christmas? I always thought this was just how it worked.
Hungover.
Yeah.
I think that's the new thing, isn't it? You go out on Christmas Eve and you wake up for Christmas hungover. Don't know.
Definitely not a new thing. I think it's just because you're a very catchy for Christmas now.
That's prepared.
The man's finally discovered Bucks Fizz.
I mean, you could just be like my dad and just get drunk through Christmas Eve, on through Christmas Day, and Boxing Day. That for him works the best, I think.
I mean, Adam, if you have enough shandies, you'll get there.
Has anyone ever here actually drank eggnog?
No, I feel like it would be disgusting. Have you tried it?
Yeah, the word egg in it just kind of threw me off.
What if I called it Advocate?
Advocate.
Are you advocating Advocate?
No.
This is spiraling downhill already.
Okay.
Bring it back.
Moving on. As it's a Christmas special, we're doing something slightly different, something seasonal. Instead of everyone pitching how to do something better, today we're going to be pitching a defence for our favourite Christmas film, and the boys will decide who has the best defence for their film of choice. I think the best place to start would be finding out the boys' favourite Christmas film. Jack, what's your favourite Christmas film?
My favourite Christmas film is none other than Love Actually.
That's a good choice.
Absolute shock.
I like it. It tells a lot of stories. There's a lot of people in the film, a lot of different characters. Whose story, what character do you relate to the most, Jack?
That I relate to the most?
Yeah.
I don't know which one I relate. I had it in mind of what my favourite character is. Who would I relate to the most? I feel like I could see myself ripping off a song and changing a few words to put kind of Christmas lyrics in it to get a UK #1. Maybe Billy Mack.
Billy Mack.
But perhaps I maybe be like Colin and go to America to get a threesome. So I'm not sure.
Big dreams.
Well, you ripped off a podcast, Jack. So,
Jack, do you not think he would be underwhelming in a threesome, and you would have too much pressure to fill, and you would end up just collapsing?
Oh, 100%. But you got to try.
Fair enough.
Jack wouldn't cope with the time difference. He'd be going to bed at 5 o'clock.
It'd be about like 3 in the afternoon. I'm already getting into like putting my pajamas and getting a cup of tea ready to watch Emmerdale. But
there's no Emmerdale in the US, Jack.
That's
well, thanks to today's sponsor, NordVPN.
Not affiliated with NordVPN. Any VPN sites, please, if you like to sponsor us, give us an email. Right. Reese, what is your favourite Christmas film? Is it better than Jack's?
Well, my favourite Christmas film is the best Christmas film, so of course it's better than Jack's. It is A Muppet's Christmas Carol. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the applause. Wow, what a film. Thank you.
It's a classic film, a classic story. It's one of the older tales with a clever spin on it. Is A Christmas Carol your favourite Christmas story then?
A Christmas Carol is the best Christmas story, for reasons that I would like to explain in my pitch later. But I think it's when you think of A Christmas Carol is a story that has lasted I don't know how many years, and the name Scrooge has become like a household name for someone who's tight. So I think for a story, yeah, Christmas Carol's got to be the best Christmas story and probably the most famous as well.
I feel like surely Scrooge is also for someone who doesn't like Christmas, not just for being tight, but yeah.
Well, potato, tomato.
Yeah. Moving on. Stuart, what is your favourite Christmas film?
My favourite Christmas film is Home Alone. Definitely.
That's the first Christmas film I think I can remember watching like every Christmas. Like when I was younger, it was always on, and I'd always want to sit down and watch it when I was a wee guy. Did you find it taught you a lot of life skills?
Absolutely, yeah. I'm right there with you, Adam. It's a bit of a mainstay Christmas movie. I don't think I've ever had a Christmas where I didn't watch it. It did teach me a lot. Taught me not to trust people with gold teeth. It taught me that if I was ever left behind at the age of 8, that I too would be able to set up homemade flamethrowers and tight ropes at home, despite the fact at that age I probably couldn't even tie my shoelaces, and I still can't to this day.
Me neither, so I'm not going to make you feel bad.
Velcro all the way.
Okay, now it just sounds like a pedo.
Lewis, then, what is your choice?
Yippee-ki-yay, mother! It's Die Hard.
Of course.
Chris Willis even said it's not a Christmas movie.
What did Christmas movies here, Lewis?
Yeah, and I picked Die Hard, and I know for a fact it's a Christmas movie, which we'll get into later on in the show.
The main character says it's not.
Oh!
Right.
Your pick is Love Actually. Shut up.
More of a substantial Christmas movie than Die Hard.
Our own audience said it was a year-round film.
It's already chaos in this.
Yeah, actually, I want to get up that message because Ryan Dalglish's is directed straight at you. Keep on talking whilst I find this. Hang on.
This is like the GTA episode over again. It's become a personal vendetta podcast. Die Hard's probably the only action Christmas film. It's also, I think that's why it's my dad's favourite. Is that why you enjoy it so much, Lewis?
I mean, it's no secret. I love kind of 80s action films, and Die Hard kind of symbolises everything great about that genre. It takes place at Christmas. Wouldn't happen if it wasn't for Christmas. So for me, it combines my two favourite things at that time of year: Christmas and action movies.
Testosterone and naked men.
Hey, I'm calling for my sexuality, Reese. You don't have to defend yourself here.
Interesting. Well, I want to go around. We'll maybe get some opinions on each other's Christmas films, each other's choices. I mean, you've heard a lot of them. I didn't hear a lot of pushback on Home Alone. Reese, Home Alone. What does it mean to you? You hear Stuart say it's his favourite. It's on every year. What? Just give me some thoughts on it.
I think it's hard to say you don't enjoy Home Alone, or certainly at some point in your life you haven't enjoyed Home Alone. I think Home Alone is a staple of a Christmas movie. Everyone has seen it. It's a brilliant movie. The only problem I have is I think I have seen it far too many times. It's a bit like Elf, where it's on every year, and you sit down and you watch it every year, and it's gotten to the point where, no, I think I've watched it too many times. But I still absolutely love it, and it is a great film, so it's a great choice by Stuart.
Oh, nice. That's a bit of Christmas spirit. Bit of love shown on the podcast.
This was visited by 3 ghosts last night.
Oh. Jack, please, what was that?
I said that Ryan isn't cool, so it doesn't count that he thinks it Love Actually is a year-round film. Get up, you Ryan. Daft cunt.
And anyone else that wants to give their opinion,
I know.
let us know.
No, we did ask for our audience Christmas films. It's on Twitter @_ wait, no, at @_ the big picture. Forgot that. And there is a tweet. A lot of fans interacted. We're gonna read it. We're gonna read a lot of those choices later on. But remember, you can find us @_ the big picture on Twitter and Instagram.
Jack? I think see Home Alone. I do enjoy Home Alone, but it's obviously you're just picking the movie in itself. I'm not gonna kind of go at that. I just hate how much they ripped the absolute shit out of it with the rest of the movies that followed.
The sequel.
I don't know. Home Alone 2 is not bad, but 3 and 4, I'll agree with you.
Yeah, two I'm okay with, but it's after that. Then when they got the new character in, I felt as if 2 would have been fine, but obviously it was when you see Home Alone during that time when it's coming out to cinema, you were wanting to go see what was going to happen, so it was going to make money regardless.
I know it's a shame Macaulay Culkin had to grow up.
Well, actually, it's good segue for you, Lewis. Stuart, do you think if they brought a Home Alone out now and Macaulay Culkin was the dad, and he had a different son, would you go in the cinema and see it?
No. Home Alone works so well, like in that era. Like what I like about Home Alone is it's such a perfect storm of events. Like it's not one of these films where he gets left at home and you're like, oh well, why don't the parents just do that, and why don't the parents just do this? They kind of do their best to answer all these questions, like, oh, the phone lines are down and the police go at the door, but he's too scared to open it, and like I feel like that works then. Mm-hmm. The 90s were a different time, guys. All right, I'm an only child. All right, my parents could have forgotten me very easily back then. It just happened, but I don't think now. I don't know how you could do it. It's not one of these. It's a bit like Back to the Future. I don't know how you could remake it, even if you brought in Macaulay Culkin. What makes Home Alone 1 so good as well, and Home Alone 2, is like it's pre-Michael Jackson Macaulay Culkin. He doesn't have that baggage. All right, now you put Macaulay Culkin in a film nowadays, that voice in the back of your mind is going to be like, is this going to be addressed in this film? Can this even be out? Should I be watching this? So to answer your question, no, Adam, I wouldn't.
There is some films that just need to be left alone because they just sit perfectly in the time period they're set in. And Home Alone's premise is one of those. You can't put it in 2021, 22 because Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it's all there. It's too many loopholes, too many things to poke out. So, yeah, I'm agreeing with Stuart. It needs to be left there. Some movies just should not be remade. Remember that, movie studios.
Foreshadowing.
Reece, do you have anything to add to that?
I think that how could you make a remake with Macaulay Culkin as the dad? He was abandoned twice, and it led him to getting nounced and then having an addiction to drugs. So I'm pretty sure he wouldn't make that mistake.
Well, I like how we'll go for a Christmas one. We're like, oh, talk about everyone's favorite Christmas film. It's like that's safe. That's not going to lead anywhere dark at all. We're 14 minutes in. This is the darkest episode we've ever recorded, I think.
It's what the people want.
I think we'll do briefly segue on before we're going to get on to a debate in a few minutes. But just before we get there, I guess to preface that, I'm going to ask Lewis, what is a Christmas film to you? What defines a Christmas film?
Why are you asking him? He's in the Die Hard. It's not even a Christmas film.
Right, Reece, I'm asking you to calm down. Just give me a yellow card. Anyone, you're off.
Boot from call. What makes a Christmas film? Set during Christmas, has Christmas music, references to Christmas, and semblance of a Christmas miracle, as well as an over-demon message.
Right. Well, that's
Die Hard hits all of them. You can't argue that.
that. With those
I'm glad you
reasons,
brought that up, Lewis.
yes, and I was just about to hand it over there, and in the spirit of fairness, Reese, what defines a Christmas film for you?
Well, for me, what defines a Christmas film is, Christmas is a time of year where you have a bit of self-reflection, it's all about giving, and it's all about, it's a feel-good time of the year. And obviously, Christmas means different things to different people, but we can all agree on it's a celebration of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I'm kidding. No, but one thing we can all agree on is about it's giving and reflection, and it's a feel-good time of year. It's not a time to waste tons of money crashing planes and fighting people. This is not what Christmas is about. It's a happy time of year. It's not a Christmas film that you could only watch at Christmas time. I could watch Die Hard any day of the year and no one would say anything. If I watched Home Alone in, let's say, July, all the Grinches and the Scrooges of the world, they'd be like, "Oh, you can't watch that as a Christmas film." If you listen to Christmas music even before December, people criticise you for it. You watch Die Hard at any point of the year, no one will say otherwise. Why? Because it's not a Christmas film.
Wow, it's an impassioned plea from you, Reese. You're very convincing, very convincing. Jack, which side of the argument do you fall on here?
Oh, I'm firmly in Reese's camp for this one.
Thank you.
I've never associated. Obviously, I get it's set in Christmas and that and whatnot, but it's something I've just never associated as being a Christmas movie. It's a Die Hard movie. It's a Bruce Willis movie. It's not a Christmas movie. That's how I've always seen it. So that's where I lie in the argument of whether that is a Christmas movie or not.
Fair. Stuart, then, are you gonna make it a 3-on-1 pile up on Lewis, or are you gonna take Lewis's side here?
I'm gonna come rushing to Lewis's aid here because I think Die Hard is a Christmas movie.
That's right. Ho ho ho! I got a machine gun. His name's Stuart Fitzgerald.
Yep, that's it. I mean, it's one of my favorite Christmas movies. With this podcast, it would have been a toss-up between Die Hard and Home Alone. Lewis got in there first with Die Hard, but it's a tradition for me. I watch it every Christmas Eve. I know what what Reese has said about how you can watch it any time of year. I disagree. I think it falls into the blanket of Christmas movies you watch it at Christmas. I mean, it takes place at Christmas. It has like you said, like Lewis said, it's got Christmas songs, and the whole premise is Bruce Willis gets invited to a Christmas party. Like you couldn't have that. He gets invited to the July party. Like of that.
Well, you could have the 4th of July.
No. He gets invited to. He gets invited because they're all off. They're all off the 4th of July, Reese. So there you go. You've lost the American audience.
But what are you talking
about? It's a Christmas office party. They are universal, and it has a happy ending, like Christmas movies are apt to do. Apart from one other movie that's on this podcast that we'll come to later. But I mean, it's obviously a bit out of the box. It's not a traditional Christmas movie, but ultimately, I have such a good time with this film. And, why can't the adults and the action film fans have a Christmas movie just for them? Like, you can't just have the same Christmas movies brought out every year. You got to have a bit of variety. So, also, lastly, IMDb has Die Hard second on its list of top Christmas films, just after It's a Wonderful Life. So there you go. Put that in your Nakatomi Tower and smoke it.
Well,
you could swap that the Christmas party though for someone's leaving party at work, and it would just be the exact same film.
No, you couldn't.
No, you couldn't, because John McClane doesn't work there. He gets invited because it's a family event. The workers have their partners there, and he gets invited to the. I mean, the whole if you take Christmas out of it, it's not a Christmas film. I mean, that could be said for all of our films. If you take Christmas out of Home Alone, it's just a film where he gets left alone. You take Christmas out of Love Actually, it's a Valentine's Day movie. You take Christmas out of yours, Reese, it's about somebody finding out that family and friends is more important than capitalism. Like, it's that argument of, oh, you take Christmas out of it, it's not a Christmas film. Yeah, no shit. You do that against any film.
That's such a naive answer. That's such a naive answer.
But it's a true answer.
Like I said earlier, it's about self-reflection. Christmas is the best time of year for that, and that's why it's important.
No, New Year's.
And he goes through a personal journey of finding, he goes to. It's not until his wife's life is on the line that he realizes that, he even says, like, if I die, apologize to my wife, and he has that epiphany of like, oh, I should have been a better husband. And when do all these films have these epiphanies? At Christmas. Family's important.
What your points that the two of you made here about Die Hard being a Christmas movie fall true in the following movies: Die Hard, Groundhog Day, The Grand Budapest Hotel, Mean Girls, The Parent Trap, Frozen, Harry Potter, Philosopher's Stone, Lady and the Tramp, Jumanji, Long Kiss Goodnight, Love Actually, Batman Returns, Gremlins, Iron Man 3, Lethal Weapon, Sound of Music, Edward Scissorhands, and Jaws: The Revenge. All of them have a Christmas element in it that has a message that they kind of turn it around, but none of them are Christmas films, apart from Die Hard. Very strange that.
Groundhog Day takes place in February.
Yeah, if you take Christmas out of Die Hard doesn't happen. If you take Christmas out of Lethal Weapon, it's still Lethal Weapon. That's the point you're missing. You haven't even seen the movie recently, have you?
I have watched Die Hard. I actually do watch Die Hard most Christmases.
I think
there we go. It's Reese's Christmas tradition.
It's on fucking TV.
Reese watches Die Hard on Christmas like it's a Christmas.
I don't watch it on Christmas.
And if we think, whoa.
Well, why don't you watch it in July, Reese?
Yeah, you can watch it anytime.
I have.
Order. Right. We can't let it run on a whole podcast. Really intense debate. Just for a closing note, someone who didn't jump in too much there, I just want you to refer to a comment Reese made that Love Actually isn't in fact a Christmas movie. Jack, does that change how you think of Reese as a man?
No. Reese pays his taxes much like I do, so I kind of got to respect that as a person. It's a matter of opinion. Like, as we all have a different meaning of Christmas, don't we? As it's being shown here, like someone said, like self-reflection and whatnot, and that. So it's a matter of just what Christmas means to you. So I respect his opinion. I don't agree with what Lewis and Stuart are saying about Die Hard being a Christmas movie, but I respect that that's what Christmas is to them. I think Reese is wrong in saying that Love Actually isn't a Christmas movie, but I respect what Christmas means to Reese.
Well, Jack, I'll be honest with you. I've never actually seen Love Actually. It was just on a list. So I don't actually know anything about it.
That's what you should watch this Christmas.
Do you know what, Jack? For you, I'll watch it this year.
Christmas, very cool. It's amazing. It's amazing what this podcast does. It brings people together. I always can't believe it. Well, while we're talking about Love Actually, to get a bit of comment on it, it's obviously it's a romance film at its heart. It's lots of different things that have romantic elements to it. We've got I've forgotten all the characters' names, but we've got Alan Rickman buying the gift for his secretary. I've forgotten all the names. We've got Colin going to America. I remember his name.
For a threesome.
For a threesome. So just the romantic element, is that why you enjoy the film so much, Jack? Would you say would it be the romance part of it?
Well, I mean, I won't lie and say that I'm a sucker for a good rom-com. I do like that kind of stuff, but I feel that the Christmas element for me in Love Actually is probably what's striking the most. It's that's what Christmas is to me, is like everyone always has a kind of different. It's a different Christmas each year. You always have like some sort of a different Christmas story, but what makes the story great, whether it's a good Christmas story or it's like a bad Christmas story or whatnot, it's the folk that you surround yourself with to enjoy this time that makes Christmas for you. So whether you're having a good time or a bad time, the folk that you're able to surround yourself with to get you through it, to try and rejuvenate spirits or just keep spirits at high to enjoy the festive period, I think that's what it's all about.
Very true, Jack. I'm liking this podcast. We've got really dark talk about Macaulay Culkin being non-stop. And then side by side, we've got some really positive messages about what Christmas means to us and what it should mean to people. I think that just sums us up, I think. I'm coming at you here, Lewis. I'm assuming you've seen Love Actually. Did you enjoy it? What did you think of it?
You assume a lot, Adam.
I assume incorrectly?
You assume incorrectly. I've never actually seen the movie. Right?
Right.
I've heard a lot about it, and like Jack, I do love a rom-com, but I wouldn't pick a rom-com as a front drop for Christmas. But like Jack said, everybody has their own sort of inferences on what Christmas means to them, and obviously Jack being the hopeless romantic of the group, that's why he loves Love Actually.
Makes a lot of sense.
I really stress the word hopeless.
Oh.
Well, I know.
I was 100% hopeless.
I know Stuart. Has actually seen Love Actually. Actually,
I have. Yeah, I literally just watched it the other day. We just kind of like were throwing random Christmas films out, and Love Actually was one of them. Jack's going to have a big sigh of relief here because I do think that Love Actually is a Christmas movie. That's not
off my back, man.
I do think it's a Christmas movie. That's not what it's a romance film at its heart and a Christmas film secondary. I don't begrudge that, especially considering my thoughts on Die Hard. That's not what I don't like about it. What I hate is that Love Actually is actually the worst Christmas movie out there. Especially, do you know why? Because it's a terrible film to watch with your family. Christmas is all about like everyone settling down and being together. Nights are cold. You settle and watch a Christmas movie. This film is terrible to watch. Where you're like, firstly, like there are porn stars in it, which I try my best not to include in my family Christmas view, and try as I might. So like, you've got it's so. I watched it. I hadn't seen it in ages, and I watched it the other night, and it is so depressing. You've got Alan Rickman cheating on his wife, which is such a depressing plot line. You've got Liam Neeson's wife's dead, which is such a depressing plot line. You've got her from Ozark that can't spend time with the guy she loves because of her family, which is such a depressing plot line. You've got him from The Walking Dead, you know, that everyone knows the Love Actually bit with the cue cards outside her door. He's confessing to his best friend's wife that he loves her, and he probably ruins both of those relationships. Now, Jack, Home Alone and Love Actually, we've got a bit of a shared trait here, because it teaches kids it's okay to run in airports. But to be fair, Home Alone does that, but it was pre 9/11, right? Love Actually came out 2004, right? It's not okay, kids, if you're listening, it's not okay to run in the airport. Do not do that, all right? You will be shot. So the worst thing about Love Actually, you've got Hugh Grant as a Tory Prime Minister. It's 2020 and I am sick of Tory Prime Ministers, right? Don't say he's not, Jack, because he has a picture of Margaret Thatcher in his office and he actually talks to it, right? Not only that, but he near enough starts an international incident between the United States and the UK because the president chats up his assistant that he likes. And that assistant, having a relationship with her, would completely nuke his career, by the way. And at the very end, if you haven't seen Love Actually, at the very end of the film is people coming out of the airport and greeting their families. So Hugh Grant comes out of the airport, you know, as Prime Minister, and she books it towards him, absolutely runs straight. And in real life, if the armed police station there saw that, they'd be like, someone's heading for the Prime Minister, I would shoot her. And then that'd be that. It's the worst Christmas movie to watch with your family.
I guess we're lucky that it is a movie and not real life then, and that just wouldn't happen. And I think that's quite good. A lot of what you said, though, I feel is what makes it a great Christmas movie, because that's what I was saying, is what Christmas to me is, because not everyone's Christmas is absolutely great. I think it's important to highlight that some folk have an absolutely shit Christmas, much like Emma Thompson's character did, and it's how she's managed to get through that and run around that. I think it's done well to highlight the good and the bad side of Christmas and how families and people can get through it. So I think a lot of the stuff, as you're right, it is depressing, but I think it's important to note and to show that it is important to include that not every Christmas is absolutely great.
I don't want to see that. My Christmas has been fine. Love Actually's ruined it, all right? That's not good for me.
I think what Jack just said there is actually quite interesting, because when Jack made this initial point about everyone being together and stuff like that, and I was like, do you know what? I've never seen the film, but he sold it to me. And Stuart just totally ruined it for me. I don't know if I can watch it now. But you brought it back, Jack. You've made a good point there, and I think it's quite clever what you've done there, because you've highlighted the fact that people have, obviously, for me, Christmas is the best every year. I look forward to it all year round. I look forward to it from the 27th of December all the way through to when it is Christmas. It's the best day of the year for me. But for a lot of people, it's the worst day of the year because they're alone, or their life just isn't great right now. And a song that does that really well is the Fairy Tale of New York. So, guys, I'm just wondering, what's your favourite Christmas song?
Oh, good segue. I guess I'll go first since I'm hosting, but I'd say Fairy Tale of New York is definitely mine. Timeless. You put it on December 1st, it always goes on. Close second, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, the Michael Bublé version. That's been tradition. Me and my mum, we always, if she's giving me a lift somewhere during December, the Michael Bublé Christmas album gets shoved on, we're singing along. So that's Christmas. Just not going to start out quickly say so we can get everyone else's answers here, but that's Christmas. Everyone's got their own little stories about every song, every film that they do with their families.
My favourite Christmas song is Elton John, Step Into Christmas. Second, it would be Feliz Navidad.
Oh, banger.
Third, because I've only got this written down because I got asked this in the wrestling podcast group chat. So I was like, oh, good, I can just bring this up. My third is Kelly Clarkson, Underneath the Tree. That's an absolutely fantastic song. I would highly recommend checking that out. Fourth, the Jackson 5, Santa Claus is Coming to Town. And number 5, Peter Kay is Geraldine McQueen, Once Upon a Christmas song. Brilliant. There you go.
That's the most Jack answer.
Fuck off.
Stuart, Lewis?
I do like Step Into Christmas, Elton John. That's great. I like Let It Snow. I particularly like how Adam said that Fairy Tale of New York, which is another one of my favourites, is timeless, despite the fact it always gets censored nowadays. Everyone won't let you sing it. So I don't think it's quite as timeless as he thinks.
Cancelled. We're cancelled.
Cancel culture.
We're coaching on that line, Reese.
Well, I didn't say it. Then we'll just move on to you, Lewis. Yeah.
Years of working in retail have given me strong PTSD when it comes to Christmas music because you just hear it non-stop. That being said, though, the one song that never got too tiresome for me was Slade. It's Christmas time.
Good answer.
Like that.
My favourite changes every year, but one constant that's been there every year is Fairy Tale of New York. I think the bridge in Fairy Tale of New York is a bridge that could possibly be second to none. So yeah, I don't know. I just love that.
Where does the Band-Aid song sit in everybody's list?
The original one.
Yeah, the original, not that remake.
I actually don't mind the new one. Just gonna point out the 2014 one. I think it's decent. I guess a lot of stick because it's not like all these people we consider legends now, but like it's basically the same equivalent of what happened with Band-Aid.
Definitely isn't. Before. No offense to Dizzy Rascal, he's just not.
Yeah.
Dizzy Rascal, please back off.
No, I think Lewis is right there, but I think the original one is absolutely fine. I particularly like U2 Bono when he tells Africans that their lives suck. That part's my favourite part.
I don't know if you guys will remember this, but when they were redoing the Band-Aid that year, and Bono gave, in typical Bono fashion, the biggest hissy fit of not being able to have his original line from the original song, it was in the news cycle for weeks.
That's because the new one's about Ebola, and he's still bringing up AIDS and stuff. He needs to get with the times.
The new fashionable diseases.
I'm surprised they've not released a coronavirus one for this year.
I should expect it. They did
a Children Need song for coronavirus.
I didn't see that.
I remember.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, Children Need's a bit of a shady charity anyway. Fuck them.
Yeah.
Wow. Everyone's getting it at this podcast, it seems.
Fuck Harry and fuck.
Right. before we get on to the pitches, which I think I'm looking forward to. I think we've had a good bit. We've covered each film. We've talked about what Christmas means to us as well. I'm going to talk about what Christmas means to the listeners. And I'm going to have a quick... We asked for engagement at _ the big picture on Twitter. You guys got in touch, and here's a list of your guys' favourite films. We got Lucy Connolly said Arthur Christmas. Paul McCallum said The Santa Claus 2. Tommy Smart said The Nightmare Before Christmas. He also asked the question, is Force Awakens a Christmas movie? Because it came out at Christmas.
Well, it must be.
Oh.
We also got Ryan Dalgleish, a resident DJ. Love Actually, but says it's an all year round film.
Might not be with comments like that. So just 2021.
Sacked.
Sarah Deans said The Grinch and It's a Wonderful Life. Annie Deans said Die Hard and The Nightmare Before Christmas. Stephen Wilson asked if Batman Returns counts.
Yes.
Well, it's on my list of films that aren't Christmas films, so no.
Must be a Christmas movie.
Must be.
I wouldn't say so.
What?
Right. Colin Moore said Elf. Robin Johnson said A Miracle on 34th Street. Christmas Dave said Love Actually or Home Alone. Daniel Lee said Die Hard. Caitlin McCann said Arthur Christmas. At Holliver on Instagram said How the Grinch Stole Christmas. Abby Molyneux said Home Alone at a push. She doesn't watch Christmas films. Daniel Blount said Krampus. Scott Brown said Bad Santa. Massimo DeMarco said The Santa Claus 1 and 2. Adam McDonald came in with Die Hard. And finally, Becca Watson said Polar Express or Elf for her favourites. That's a really good range. I mean, Die Hard cropped up a few times, much to, I'm sure, Teresa's annoyance. But I suppose that's a good spread. What's the thoughts?
Yeah, it was actually quite good. That it's kind of what Jack said. Like, everybody has their own sort of feelings of what Christmas is. And one thing that when I was looking through all the posts and dealing with them, that is like there wasn't that very many repeat posts. Like, sure, like Elf has some crossover and Die Hard has some crossover, but a lot of people have their own sort of feelings on what they like in their own Christmas movies. There doesn't seem to be that one ultimate Christmas film, which I think is actually quite nice. But it kind of made me think, and maybe you guys can kind of jump on the question, like, do you think your selection of favorite Christmas film is somewhat a reflection of you as an individual and what you're like as a person?
100%.
100%, yeah.
I think it's also what you grew up with as well.
Yeah, background.
Nature versus nurture debate on Christmas films. Here we go.
I think
when we put out this idea, we said, well, what's everyone's favourite Christmas film? But we kind of all knew that yours was always going to be Die Hard because that's the kind of guy that you are. And
American Guns.
Actually, yeah, testosterone.
Just pure
and
testosterone and hero complex.
Yeah, Jack Picking Love Actually is an obvious reflection of him as a person as well. And Stuart was abandoned as a child, so it's quite obvious that he would pick Home Alone. So yeah, I think it is definitely a reflection of who you are as a person and also the films you watched growing up.
Reason you used to hate poor people. Is that why you chose them up at Christmas Carol?
No, I hate the
used to.
And fuck poor people and fuck champagne.
Venom gets rid of homeless people.
I did say that, to be fair.
It's becoming a theme, just homeless people getting bashed. Oh, God.
They're meeting that Tory guideline of half and homeless by 2050.
It's a good thing they can't listen because they don't have phones. I think that with that, it's time to go on to our big pitches. And as I said, we're all going to pitch a defence of our film. And then we're all going to decide, well, I'm not going to decide. The boys are going to decide which one is the best defence. And so why don't we start with how we start the podcast? Jack, what is your defence of Love Actually? Why is it the best Christmas film in your opinion?
On my sheet of paper, I've got Love Actually, then block capitals, is the best Christmas movie, and it's all underlined. So here we go. For me, it's able to capture the joy and hilarity and also sadness of how folk are able to experience Christmas. It provides that constant wave of hilarity throughout the movie, that kind of light sense of humour, which is it's etched itself pretty much into Christmas pop culture since it was released. As the boys said, that those that haven't seen it all know that iconic scene with the cars professing his love and whatnot. No other film of that kind of genre, I think, has been able to get near or reach such heights from when Love Actually was released. Obviously, the movies from before that has, but I don't think any kind of recent movie, so to speak, in that kind of Christmas sense, being able to do that. Some of the hilarious, you've got Hugh Grant as Prime Minister dancing to Jump. You've got Colin Firth's proposal in French, which is terrible grammatically in what he's trying to say, but he was speaking the language of love in quotation marks, and that's what makes it so powerful. You've got Rowan Atkinson, his Christmas present rapping with Alan Rickman, and he was getting more angst by the second. That was hilarious in itself, as he was trying to buy this diamond necklace for the woman that he was cheating on his wife with. It was able to be what a Christmas film kind of should be, which is like funny and uplifting and kind of show the struggle and hard times of going through Christmas. It's not reliant on like over the top humour either. And with that, it's able to provide like proper moments of real emotion through a variety of different narratives and subplots. And with that, you'd think it would be messy and confusing when watching the movie, but it just isn't. You're able to watch and you're able to understand, and it all flows and makes sense. I think, as I said earlier on, Emma Thompson's character portrayal, fantastic. She's able to bring the kind of realisation of that folk do go through a shit Christmas. Like, also, she was cheated on and her family kind of get torn apart, and it's how they're going to live essentially after that, with a family being broken apart. As you see at the Nativity, they're trying to be civil with each other, and it's just kind of a matter of having to deal with that. So that's like a shit Christmas, but it's able to kind of go through that moment as well. And you also saw it with Sarah and her brother Michael, who's like going through that kind of hard time. He's mentally ill as well, so it's showing her she's trying to live a normal life by pursuing someone that works in her office but can't because of having to care for the brother. So showing that it is tough for Christmas at some points. But then you've got some good stories as well, like Billy Mack. Also, his goal through this was to release a Christmas #1, and he was on the Ant and Dec show, and he was being all Billy Mack as he is in the movie. But throughout that, he realises that his manager is like his best friend, and it kind of provides the heartwarming moment that unconditional love is so important around this time. So it makes you truly appreciate what you've got and who you are. That's pretty much. And Stuart said he didn't like the final scene. I think the final scene, for me, sums up Christmas perfectly. As I said earlier on as well, it shows thousands of Christmas stories happening at one time. Be it if you're happy and it's good, or if you're sad and you're not feeling yourself. But whatever kind of story or whatever moment is happening that you're living in, you'll be able to get through it. You'll be able to enjoy yourself. You'll be able to carry on with the kind of festive period with the folk that you've got around you. And for me, I think that's what Christmas is all about. The Notebook's
Jack, could you tell me in a few words why this film is exclusive to Christmas?
Oh no.
Why this film is exclusive to Christmas?
Yeah,
There's
why is
nativity in it.
Oh,
Ryan Dalglish said that it's an all year round film.
I think obviously, like, it's as you said as well, it's a movie that can, like, if you take the Christmas element out of it, it can be put into a different genre. As in, like, I said, this could be like around Valentine's Day or whatever, or Die Hard could just be like some other movies happening after being invited to some party during some time. I think it's set in Christmas. It portrays that Christmas message that I resonate with the most, I think, and that's why it's a Christmas movie for me.
In
Good
Jack's
answer.
defense, I will say, like, if you move Love Actually to like just Valentine's Day, it's no longer Love Actually. It loses its sort of core essence, from what I can tell the way he's talking about. It becomes more basically like a Ryan Reynolds rom-com. And the same could be said about Die Hard. If you just move it, it just becomes Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's next film.
I definitely don't think that Love Actually would have the message that it does if it was moved to another season.
Okay.
Stuart, what have you got?
I do agree that it is a Christmas film, but to me it seems quite shallow, and it's like the fact that it's set in Christmas and its Christmas message. There's a good variety of like relationships at the show. They do showcase a lot, but the fact that the relationship Christmas has to a lot of these characters, I feel, is the weakest relationship there. because Bill Nye, as the singer, admits several times to everyone, like radio broadcasters, television presenters, that he knows that the song he's put out is crap. He says as much, and that it's a shameless cash grab for a washed-up singer to make it to number one. And I can't help but get the feeling that the director wanted to tell this story about all these different relationships, and that he was forced to tack on the Christmas aspect of it, because like a good example is the nativity play that you said. The nativity play is so absurd that you could actually look at that as the director calling out how absurd Christmas is added onto the films, because the nativity's got like lobsters and aliens and that in it, and a kid with Spider-Man face paint. So like that is obviously I think that's a very shallow aspect of it. And also some of the relationships I feel focus too much on the physicality of relationships. Like it's so sex oriented. Like the guy who goes to America purely just to have sex with American girls because nobody none of the British girls he knows will have sex with him. You've got Alan Rickman, secretary, purely just wants to have sex with him. She doesn't fancy him. She just wants to, have sex with him. And Colin Firth in this film, who I like in this film, he only starts to show interest in the person that he's with when he's out. For those that don't know, he's a writer and he's writing this book and the pages get lost in a lake. He only starts to really take a notice of her when she strips off to go and jump into the lake to save his pages. So there is that. On the flip side of that, though, one of the best relationships they have is the two porn stars who are naked all the time together. And it shows their relationship progress when they actually just want to hang out, clothes on. Like Martin Freeman and her from Gavin Stacey play that really well. So they do address that, but I feel like it can be really shallow at times.
Stuart, I just want to chime in here and say that I don't know if Adam explained to you, we're actually basing it on people's pitches and not the films themselves. Jack did mention half of what you said in his pitch, so I feel like that's an unfair criticism.
I was just going to say that what's Jack's thoughts on that? Like, does he feel that a lot of the relationships are shallow?
See, to be honest, yes and no. I feel that the shallowness of some of them is there to portray a deeper meaning in itself. So, like, obviously the Colin going over to America, that's just there, I think, for its comedic value, so to speak. But like the whole thing I said about Alan Rickman and the secretary, it's not really their Christmas story. It's Emma Thompson's Christmas story. So I wouldn't say I would say the wrong points kind of been focused on for that bit. Then you said the whole nativity, they've got like lizards and whatnot are in it. The whole point of that was that they were trying to accommodate all the kids so none of them got left out during the nativity play at Christmas, and they wanted to be whatever they wanted to be, and the school didn't want them to feel excluded, so it was like their own twist on the nativity story.
Fair enough. Yeah, you make good points.
Nice.
So
nice.
I would say that.
Okay. One small note. I really like that pitch, Jack. It's Portuguese that Colin Firth speaks to the girl.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. No worries.
I think it was like was it not France she went to or something like
they
that?
They live in France.
He's
in France, and so he's trying to speak French to her first, and then she's like, no, she doesn't speak a word of French, just like you, because she's Portuguese, and it's like a Portuguese family she lives in. That's what he learns. But anyway, Jack. Apart from that, flawless. Didn't see any mistakes. Right. Okay. Moving on. Reese, why don't you tell us why A Muppet's Christmas Carol is the best Christmas film, in your opinion?
Okay. I feel like A Muppet's Christmas Carol, as I touched on earlier, tells the best Christmas story, which is actually quite sinister, but it tells it in a fun, light-hearted way. It's got Michael Caine in it as Scrooge, and I don't really need to tell you that how impressive that is. nonetheless, his acting in it is wonderful, and he portrays the character better than anyone else, including Scrooge McDuck. Christmas means different things to different people, as we talked about earlier. But one of the things that we can all agree on, as I said, is that Christmas is about giving and self-reflection. A Muppet's Christmas Carol tells the story of one of the truly worst people on the planet. He's not evil like a murderer, but he's evil in a way that he takes from the poor and cares for nobody but himself. The movie does what every good Christmas movie should do. It shows you the ugly side of the world. Like Jack had mentioned earlier on, a good Christmas story will show that side of Christmas. It shows you the ugly side of the world, but more importantly, it shows you that you can always change. It's never too late to become a better person. And Christmas is as good a time as any to make that change. You can always be a better person. The portrayal of a Muppet's Christmas Carol is better than any other portrayal of a Christmas Carol because obviously the Muppets. Everyone loves the Muppets, But Michael Caine's portrayal of Scrooge and also the songs. I'm not a huge fan of songs and movies originally. I know Jack is. But in this film, it does it so well. The first song in the movie shows how truly dark the story actually is, where it tells you, it sings about how Scrooge is starving people to death. My personal favourite song in the film is Marley and Marley because it's so catchy and I absolutely love it. But the way that this film actually portrays a very dark story about how you can be a really, really horrible person, but just making small changes to yourself, well, I guess in this case it's a bit of a drastic change, but to give, in this film he goes to Kermit's door on Christmas Day, and it seems like because of his nature that he's going to force him to come to work and not spend time with his family and his sick child. But actually, he turns up with the biggest turkey in the town, and he's just he embraces the fact that he's been a horrible person throughout the years, and he's willing to change, and he's willing to make Kermit's life better, and he gives him money to help his sick child, and it's just truly heartwarming. And that's for really what Christmas is for me anyway. It's about giving, self-reflection, and I just love a good heartwarming film. And the Scrooges of the world, they don't like these kind of films. They don't like happy, feel-good films that are magical, and they talk them down, and they go for their action movies. That's the real Christmas movie when it's not. But this is my favourite Christmas film for just a whole number of reasons. But one thing that stands out is that it's actually a Christmas movie with a Christmas story.
I think for me, for the Muppets Christmas Carol, it's my favourite version of the story, as you said. I think the kind of good thing with that is the Muppets appeals to kids so much, and it's getting progressively harder, I think, in today's society to teach or even just to show a story like that. There's a normal movie of A Christmas Carol and not get bored of it. And I feel that the Muppets is able to portray that in a good way to keep the younger generation engaged and also can actually understand the message of what it's about.
Yeah, and I just want to add, Stuart brought up a good point earlier about Love Actually, where he said he wouldn't sit down and watch it with his family. This is a Christmas film that you can, out of all of the Christmas films that we've picked, Stuart said you wouldn't watch Love Actually with your family. I certainly wouldn't want to show my 2 and 3 year old kids Die Hard because of the violence. So out of all of the Christmas films that we've picked so far, Home Alone and A Muppet's Christmas Carol are the only ones that I would sit down with my family, with my young children, and show them. And Jack's right in saying that it does tell a real story, like an actual story about how to be a better person and how to be, it's always good to change and never give up on people and stuff like that. But it shows it to children and it kind of teaches them a good life lesson, whereas the other 3 films don't have that.
I just like to say Michael Caine has no reason being this good acting against Muppets in this film. Like, you've got such a serious, classically trained actor who you'd expect him to do like the stage version of A Christmas Carol, but instead he does the Muppets Christmas Carol, and he is so good as Scrooge. He's quite frankly the best portrayal of Scrooge. Like Jack said, for me, this is probably the best version of A Christmas Carol. It's definitely the first version of A Christmas Carol that I ever saw as a kid, and they really knock it out of the park for this. It's a winning combination, and also Michael Caine's actually said that this is one of the favourite films he's ever made because he watches it with his grandkids and his great grandkids at Christmas.
Yeah, I touched upon how his acting is excellent in this film. I don't really think I talked about it enough. His acting in this film is excellent. It's the best portrayal of Scrooge, as you said, and as I said in my pitch. It's second to none, and it's hard because I've watched all the Muppets films, and in A Muppets Treasures Island, the acting in that is very poor, and you can tell that they're just not comfortable. I'm sorry, but
you're on the ice, Reese. I was going to vote for you.
See, when they come onto the island, some of the pirates on that island are not great. I'm not saying that the main actors are bad. I'm saying that some of the acting in that film is very poor, and it shows you that it's not easy because you're talking to, you're talking to a puppet. Because it wasn't CGI back in 1992. You're talking to a puppet here, and it's not easy to do, and he absolutely knocks it out of the park for me.
Nice. I think the biggest revelation there is that you have 2 and 3-year-old children.
Right, well, I've got some big news, guys. My years as a younger shagger have come back to baby.
That's good. Well, I seen there was a veiled, very obvious, dig at Lewis there.
Yeah, I mean.
So, Lewis, clear. I think it only makes sense that you step up next and tell me why Die Hard's the best Christmas film.
Well, it is the best Christmas film, and I don't want to get into if it is a recent film or no, because I feel like we could do a debate on that for like 6 hours, but I'll ask questions at the end of this presentation. But without Christmas, this movie just doesn't happen. And John McClane is a man who knows he's done wrong and takes this opportunity to invite to his wife's Christmas party, reflecting on his decisions over the last 6 months to become a better man. Kind of sounds like what Reese was thinking that a Christmas movie should be. Trying to save the life of his wife and to strengthen and see his kids again, become the family man he so desperately thinks he should become after experiencing this. He just wants to get home to his family and become that man that he wished he could have been 6 months ago. That this opportunity of, randomly, I guess, a hostile takeover of the company to get some bonds out of a vault allows him to reaffirm his reflections, to see that this isn't the life he wants. And it comes to a point where it's even overwhelming for him. He's like, I can't do it anymore. He wants to give up. And this is when I think he gives his best speech in the movie, is when he breaks down on the speaker over to Al, the friendly cop who's helping him out, that he can't do it anymore. That he's just like, just tell my wife I love her. I'm doing this for her. I just want to make sure that they're safe. I don't care anymore. Tell her I'm sorry. And that's the one key thing. He's like, just tell her I'm sorry, because he knows he messed up. And he's reflecting on his decisions, and Christmas gives him the opportunity to change that decision. And without the unconditional support and love from Al, there's no way that John McClane couldn't have saved the day and kicking ass and taking names. And I just want to say, in this movie, Hans Gruber is known as like one of the greatest movie villains of all time, and the performance given, it's delicious. It's great. It's some of the best acting I've ever seen in my life. And Die Hard gives me the opportunity to see a man admit his failures, reflect on himself, and become a better individual. It just happens to go through the trials of Christ, so to speak, that he undercovers his true self. And even the writers of the film, they said, yeah, we tried to make it a bit of a Christmas film. You know, can't really argue with the writers of the film. So yeah, it is a Christmas movie, and it's the best Christmas movie.
You can argue with the main actor though if he says it's not.
Yeah, but they actually did write the film.
But I'm not gonna. So. To be fair, I don't want to get into that. In terms of a film, 4 films that we've listed, it's potentially the best one in terms of just a movie. But like, if you take the Christmas element a little bit, if you talk about A Christmas Carol as a story, that's probably a better story than Die Hard. But in terms of an actual movie, Die Hard probably is better than A Muppet's Christmas Carol. I can't deny that. In terms of Alan Rickman's acting, again, can't fault that. I think Alan Rickman does a great job as Hans Gruber. But it's not as good as this role in Love Actually, though. Am I right, Jack?
Absolutely. Alan Rickman as a cheater is what you would need from a movie. So
I understand.
I'd rather have Alan
as
Rickman
well.
Robin than
Sorry.
Cheating on Christmas.
I mean, that's
right,
fair.
well.
Robin is a Christmas bird.
But I understand Reese's concern about the whole like violence in movies. But one thing that like this film can be is that yes, there's the Christmas films you have with your family, but not everybody can have the full-fledged family experience. And as someone who never really did, that's kind of why I think I like this movie, was because it was just something that I could turn on and kind of get away from the stuff that I was missing out on in my life and just experience a great movie that was set in Christmas and something that kind of made me feel good, maybe enjoy what I was seeing.
Would you show it to your 2-year-old son or daughter?
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
Social
services.
Yeah.
Social services. And fuck children and fuck charity and fuck poor people.
It's not like The Muppets Christmas Carol is free from critique when it comes to that point. I mean, as you said, it like you even said itself, it's a dark, twisted movie that even tells people that yes, this guy is killing people and starving them. Like that's a complex thing to have a kid understand. Like your argument could be flipped on both sides here.
Yeah, but I don't think
Not only that, Rizzo ain't going to like book out. They leave when the Ghost of Christmas Future comes. Even they're like, yeah, we don't want to be here for this.
And Rizzo falls out a window. It's tough. It's a tough movie. It's tough at the
No
top.
rats were harmed in the making of this movie.
Right, well, that was good. I like that. Like that Lewis is like, again, personal reasons why I enjoyed it, but also just a really good explanation of the film, what it tries to do. So I guess that leaves us with Stuart to take us home. Haha, alone. Stuart,
Nice.
begin your defence. Thank you.
What a segue. What a segue. For me, I think Home Alone is the best Christmas movie. We all have brought a good varied choice of Christmas movies to the plate, but with Home Alone, it is just a proper feel-good family film that everyone can enjoy. Like this film is steeped in its era for the circumstances that he's left behind, but it's absolutely timeless. Like I think I could honestly say that out of all the Christmas movies we have here, I think this one has the most longevity. It tells a unique story, and even if it does get remade, nothing will compare to this version. Like they explain, like I said, they explain all the reasons that Kevin is left at home pretty well. Like there's obviously a lot you have to accept, like in any movie, but they do make the effort to put things in place. It's not just that, oh well, they forgot about him, that's it. They do take their time to craft this. The music's great. I think everyone, if you heard the Home Alone music, you'd immediately recognise it. And when you've got the guy who made the music, who also did the music to Star Wars and Indiana Jones, when you've got him on board, then you know you've got something special. It's got Macaulay Culkin in it, who is one of the best child actors that's ever been on screen. But not only that, like all the child actors are great in it, and they can usually be a really weak point of the film. I mean, I watched The Santa Claus this year, and another one of my favourite movies, but some of the child actors are a bit iffy in that. That can sometimes tank a Christmas movie for me, but all of them, especially Buzz and the kid who always pisses the bed, like they're all great. And then you've got the Wet Bandits, you've got Joe Pesci, who is such a serious actor, an Oscar-winning actor, I might add, and he kills it in this film. He's got such good slapstick comedic timing, and the actor who plays Marv is what they are both great in this film. The dialogue's funny, the action's funny. Like it's a kids' film when you need it to be, and it's more adult when it can be. Like the messages behind this film as well are incredible. Like what Kevin's mum has to go through to get home. It shows the strong bond that can overcome all odds to be reunited with her son. That strong familial bond, and that ultimately is what is the message of this film. It's family. It's got a nice message, which is very important for Christmas films to have, in my opinion. It shows that family is more important and not to take them for granted. And that's very adult in this message, because Kevin himself, he has a conversation with an old man who hasn't spoken to his family. He's fallen out. He's an old man. Even Kevin himself is like, aren't you a little bit too old to be, being petty and being scared about this? Family at Christmas is the most important thing. Take it from me, a child who has lost his family for Christmas. You will not regret anything more than not being able to say goodbye to your family. So cherish the time that you've got. That is such an adult message that isn't even dumbed down just because it's a kids movie. They really take that, and that's the heart of the movie. And for me, a heart of Christmas, like family's family. Like, hopefully the people watching this do have a good family life and they do have a good family bond at Christmas, and this movie allows that to shine through, and that's the key point of this movie. It's family at Christmas. You just don't take it for granted, especially this year. This year's obviously been a very upsetting year for a lot, and I think it's really put things into perspective, and this movie highlights that.
I think, that's quite an impassioned response for Home Alone, and it is a movie that kind of gets cycled a lot between when I was watching movies with my mum. It would be Home Alone, The Grinch was one, but Home Alone has a kind of special place in my heart as well. It's one of those kind of same reason why I kind of enjoy Die Hard is like I was able to watch that, not relate because it's not like I got forgotten, but there's times where it allows people to kind of see what it could have been like.
I think everyone growing up didn't realise how wonderful their family are, and at some point in your life you've probably gone, I hate these guys, I wish I was never born, or I wish you weren't here, or whatever, and that. And in the film Kevin does that, and they actually do disappear, and he at first he obviously thinks this is great, this is the best, this is the best thing that could ever happen, I've got exactly what I wanted. And then it slowly realises, over time, like, well, actually, I really missed them. I love them. I had it so good before. And the scene with the old man where he tells him about, you need to be with your family. It's the best part of your life. And then just this scene where his mum comes in the house and the two of them just catch eyes with each other. It's a great film. I don't think anyone can say it's not a great Christmas film.
Well, there you have it, guys. 4 great films, 4 great pitches. I'm struggling to choose. Now, before we ask you to vote, obviously you do have to remember we're voting based on the pitches. You got to try and remove any personal feelings about the film. I know that's difficult, but you got to try and just look in each pitch individually, decide which one's the best, and then send me your votes if you could do so imminently.
I'm torn. I really don't know.
It's quite an interesting time of year, Christmas, like having these sort of discussions. Oh God.
Well, are you serious? We have a 4-way tie.
It's a Christmas miracle. We all win.
Miracle.
God bless.
I think we know what that means.
That means it's you, Adam. You said you didn't know either.
Adam's got to have the final say.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, I'm gonna go.
Do you want to take a few minutes to compose yourself, Adam?
Guys, talk amongst yourselves for 2 minutes.
I was going to ask just one question. What does everyone have a least favorite Christmas movie?
Oh,
because I have one that I watched the first time last year, and I had to watch it again this Christmas with the Cranks. If you've ever seen it, is a horrible, horrible Christmas movie. That is the worst Christmas movie I've ever seen in my life. It's so bad. It's like
my problem, Stuart, is that if a Christmas movie is bad, I just won't watch it again, and it's just not going to offend me enough to be, because I know that there's a fine line between a good Christmas movie and a terrible Christmas movie, because Christmas movies aren't easy to make. There's a lot like Christmas songs, so if a Christmas movie is bad, I can almost forgive it.
Not this one, Reese. I think you should watch Christmas with the Cranks. Unfortunately, it's one of my girlfriend's favourites, and I had to watch it. I've had to watch it twice It is
I'm
starting
surprised
to
you
become
didn't pitch that as your favourite Christmas movie then for your defence. You're like,
I love you, Robin.
Not now. Not now. This is it. This is witnessing the end of our relationship because it's
I
a
think
horrible film.
I think my least favourite Christmas movie is probably Santa Claus 3.
Yeah, I could see that. That was just a cash grab. I felt like Santa Claus is my girlfriend's favorite movie, and Santa Claus 2 was pretty good, but Santa Claus 3 was just a disaster. I don't understand why
When they had to get Jack Frost into it, it was poor. It was just poor. There's not much more to say than other than just being poor.
Did anyone watch A Christmas Chronicles?
It's on the Kurt Russell ones on Netflix.
Yeah.
No, I haven't. But I've heard
the first one was really good. Like I actually really enjoyed it, and the second one came out this year, but I've not seen it yet. But I'm quite excited because the first one was actually really good, and I think it's hard to make a good Christmas film now, and it's the same with Christmas songs because they're so stapled into society that you listen to the same ones every year, you watch the same movies every year. So to make a new Christmas song or a new Christmas movie is quite a difficult thing to do. But this one was actually really good, and I watched it last year as well. So I've repeated it, even though it came out. I think the first one came out in 2018. So I've watched the Christmas Chronicles every year since it's come out.
Right.
Now over to you, Adam. Pressure's on.
Okay. I thought about it. I took some time. I have a list in front of me. I've chosen my top 4. I'm going to do it. I'm going to take notes from the recent tie breaks and deciding. This was tough. I want to say all 4 of these could have been winners. And it's a very close top 4. So I'm going to come first to Lewis. Good pitch. Really enjoy it. Die Hard is one of my favourites. And I'm removing personal bias. I really enjoyed your pitch. I like it. But I think if there's anything for me about Die Hard is that it doesn't cover enough bases, like in terms of like Christmas themes. But it's got to the family, which is like the Bond is wife, and it is a great film, and it's got great acting in it as well.
You're part of the conspiracy. Fuck this shit.
I do think it's a Christmas film as well, but I had to be. That was okay. Next.
Very eloquently put, Adam.
Thank you.
Shut up, you capitalist pig.
I hate money.
Right. Next. Jack.
Bastard. Right, okay.
I watched
Jack. It might be a throw a spanner in the works. You might have won.
I hope so, otherwise it's a terrible night for Alan Rickman.
Well, all nights are terrible. He's dead. And
oh my god!
And fuck Alan Rickman and punch at it.
I watched Love Actually in preparation for this a few days ago. It's a film I can remember watching a lot with my mum. I think it's my mum's favourite. Christmas film. I'm not 100%, but it's definitely one of her favourites. I watched it. It's got a lot. You're right. It tells you a lot of good stories about what Christmas means to people and how it's different. Again, I do like the ending, but at the same time of the film, I don't know how strong it is. But for me, I didn't choose yours the best because I just feel like it's not. It's always the message I think gets a bit diluted, but I think I did like your pitch though. But I think there's so much. I sometimes think there's so much things going on. And I felt that kind of way with your pitch that like it's hard to pin down the meaning of the film. I want to move on, and my top 2. You know who's in the top 2? There's only 2 people left.
Sure, I just want to say before he goes on, there's no person I'd rather be in the top 2 with. Good luck.
Good luck, Reese. Like these are the Muppets Christmas Carol is up there. It is definitely my top 5. So whatever Christmas film wins is fine by me.
Yeah, I'm the same. I thought your pitch was excellent, but I just want to say I didn't vote for you. Go on, Adam.
Now, basing this purely on the pitches was hard. But I had to go off the strength. Just, what each pitch made me feel. And I feel like for that reason, I had to choose Stuart's pitch. And I would come...
It's Christmas! I don't vote for you either, Reese.
It's a second. Again, your pitch was really strong. I think the problem with this was that I think I had to. I found it really hard to pick reasons why you didn't win in sense of just like the other pitches did slightly more for me. I think that's quite clear. And I think any other like pitch, Stuart's pitch had been slightly worse. You'd have won. Like I really did like your pitch, and you covered like, and Muppets Chris Crowd does, it covers all the bases. You pointed out really well. I just thought Stuart's was great. I thought it was a bit almost emotional, and I thought it totally explained and just totally sold the idea to me that Home Alone is the best Christmas film. And I think that's why Stuart is this week's Big Picture, and he's also this year's Christmas Big Picture champion. Stuart, congratulations!
Hell of a Christmas present, bro.
Thank you.
I will make it clear I voted for Stuart as well, because I'm not gonna lie, like I felt like that was the most passionate defense of a movie.
I agree.
That passionable of a defense of a movie.
I knew Jack wasn't voting for me.
No, I didn't vote for Stuart. I'll tell you for why I didn't vote for Stuart. He had a pure few minute dig at me for the movie and completely slaughtered for what it was, and I appreciated Reece sticking up for that point for more slating the movie, and I felt that may have had some hampered decision making apart from that. By the by, I did really enjoy your pitch, Stuart, for what it was, but I went with
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah, Stuart, your pitch was really good. Like, I don't think any of us had denied it. I mean, like Adam said, it was like almost emotional. It was kind of passionate, and I get what Adam was saying about how it made him feel something, and actually like he really liked it for that reason. I felt the same way too. But the reason I voted for Jack was because I thought that
you can't vote
Jack,
for
the way. No, I almost did vote for you, Lewis. I see what you were saying. I was like, he's made good points here, but when Jack did his pitch, it made me want to watch the film to see what it was like, so that I could experience it and have my own opinion on it. Because I've seen Home Alone, and the way Stuart describes it is really, really good, and I've seen Die Hard, and the way Lewis described it was really good as well. But I've never seen Love Actually. And I've never really wanted to see it either, but the way Jack told it kind of made me want to watch it to see what it was like for myself, and that's why, Jack, you're this week's Big Picture champion.
I was going to say that's an absolute victory in itself. No, thank you. Right, see you later on.
Right, well, I think that sums up this Christmas episode very well. I think all really good pitches, we all did a good job. Stuart's, as I say, most emotional. Congratulations to Stuart. And Stuart, do you got any part?
You all fell for it.
Okay.
You all fell for it.
Yeah. Do you know what the annoying part is? Die Hard's Stuart's favourite Christmas film. It's not Home Alone. He's just spouting rhetoric. He's read this online.
This is from this tape from The Guardian. All the references away. Anyway, Reece, do you know the worst thing about Love Actually is it wastes Rowan Atkinson.
He is a fantastic comedian /
and he's barely in it. He's barely in it.
I know. Well, his best movies are the ones where he doesn't speak anyway. So
that's true.
A bit like Charlie Chaplin.
Right. Well, I think we'll end it there. If you want to get involved in the people's vote, I think this week we'll be deciding whose pitch was the best. As always, don't I say that as if we're doing anything different. Please follow us on Twitter @_the Big Picture and on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube. Just search out The Big Picture. We're on all good podcast platforms, Anchor, Spotify, whatever you're listening to this on right now. And I want to say a massive thank you to Lewis.
I appreciate the thank you. I appreciate your hosting, and I wish you all a Merry Christmas when it comes.
And also a thank you to Reece.
Thank you, Adam. But before you sign off here, you've not hyped up what the next podcast is.
Oh, that's why I went to you, Reece. Why don't you tell the people?
Well, next 2 weeks' time, when we release our next podcast, I actually don't know when it's going to release. Nevertheless, when the next one comes out, in review, we'll be going over some great topics. I can't remember them off the top of my head. Best movie, best song, best pitch,
best lockdown,
pitch.
spring or winter.
Best lockdown. I didn't get to experience lockdown to Electric Avenue, so I won't be taking part in that one. best, get your categories in. If you want something to be talked about as a category for the year, get it, tweet it to us, or send us a DM on Instagram, whatever. We want a lot of topics because we're going to be talking about how 2020 was the best year ever.
And I want to also, before we move on, thank Jack for your time today. Thank you.
The hype drop there.
Yeah.
And also thank you to Jack Graham who took part in this week's podcast.
And finally,
there's not much to go on, so you just got that.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough. And finally, thanks to our Big Picture Christmas champion, Stuart.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless us every pitch, and thank you all for listening all this way through to December. And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone.
Yep, Stuart, thanks for stealing that, but I was just about to say. Thanks to you, the listener.
Word for word.
Thanks to everyone, and well, have a good Christmas, everyone. Please.
Yippee-ki-yay, mother truckers.
And I hope to see you all soon.
End it!
Well, coronavirus 2020.